US, overseas, and I thought, oh my God, something's gonna explode. And so following year, I said, okay, I'm not putting my hat back in the ring to be a borough. I'm just going to be a county councillor, and that worked good for me. And so I did parallel working at my financial institution, so my work, for about 3 years, and then I wrote myself a redundancy, as you do. And in 2014, I became a cabinet member. Now, this is where it gets tricky. When I became a cabinet member, my time and my commitment became harder. So, whereas before I was a backbencher, I could pick and choose how many meetings I attended. When you're a portfolio holder, it's a bit more intense. I'll put it that way. It's a bit more hands-on. Every day, as Zainab has said, is different. Every day has a different subject matter that you have to pick up and deal with, good, bad, ugly. Because you're the portfolio holder, people are looking at you to make that overall decision. So I gave up my job in 2016 to become a full-time cabinet member. Now, I've never once ever expected to stay in a cabinet position for as long as I have done. So I've been quite fortunate in that regard. And I don't take it lightly either, because actually, when I became cabinet member in 2014, we were asked to make a £90 million saving. Now, unless you know about finance and you understand, how that's going to really impact your residents, you really need to think hard about, okay, what is this going to mean for the people that I'm representing? And I think that's really important. It doesn't matter what political persuasion you're from, you will keep thinking, okay, how is this going to impact? How am I going to deliver this? And how am I going to make sure that actually those who really are going to struggle or need the help, they don't lose out? And that's my motto. It always has been. That's what keeps me. If a policy is coming from central office, I will think, okay, how is this going to impact, and how can I make that, the policy that's coming, impact in the least way? So I have now been a cabinet member since 2014 up until now. I became education portfolio holder in May this year. Last year, I set up the economy and environment cabinet holder position. And prior to that, as I said, I held the customer and transformation journey, purely because of my background in customer related transactional career that I had. So that's how I became the various portfolio holders that I do. And also, I did a lot of work around transformations and making change, but making sure that the customer journey is always at the front. So basically changing the service, but not changing to meet the needs of the customer, rather the other way around. So that's that's what I've done for the last so many years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? But lastly, what I do want to mention before I do, I'm also a local government, the LGA peer, and majority of the peers that I've conducted around the country have been around equality, diversity and inclusion, and I'm really passionate about that. And that's one of the reasons I came on this, because it doesn't matter about your colour, creed, background, as long as you're passionate about what you want to do, what you want to give back to community, anybody can become a councillor. So on that note, I'm going to stop, unless you want me to carry on, Zainab, because I can.
No, thank you so much. I think you've given us all so much food for thought. And just to pick up on the last thing that you said, which is that anybody can become a councillor, it's absolutely that. One of the things that women in our community tell us all the time is that I never really considered being a councillor because I don't think I'm qualified. Well, if you care, you're qualified. If you have solutions to some of the issues in your local area and you know how to solve them, and you're frustrated with the current system and the current people that are there, and you're just like, do you know what, I can do this and I can make a change, you are qualified. So just put your hat in the ring. And it's also, I love to hear that you were a paper candidate. So, and so you weren't expecting to win. And hey presto, you won, which meant that you were a very impressive paper candidate. So thank you so much for sharing your views and for sharing your journey and your experiences as a councillor in so many different areas, which I think many of the women in the room should hopefully find incredibly interesting, but also informative in terms of what the different responsibilities are. So thank you so much.